Do you get a lot of mid-back stiffness, especially when going to one side versus the other? I'm Dr. Israel. I'm going to show you my favorite way to help loosen up our thoracic spine or our mid-back area so we can start to restore that range of motion that we know and love. We only need one piece of equipment for the routine or the drill I'm about to show you, and that equipment is a foam roller. This is a trigger point foam roller here. I highly recommend because they're a little bit more forgiving. And if you don't have a foam roller by now, well, I don't know what's wrong with you because they're super cheap and a super effective tool to help loosen up our body. So if you're still slacking and don't have one, I'll link this in the description below. So first thing we're going to do, take the foam roller and we're going to roll out the tight muscles in our mid-back. So you're going to line this up in the middle. And then if you've never foam rolled your back before, what you do is lean up against the foam roller and then use your legs to help guide you back and forth. And I'm going to do about 5 swipes back and forth, maybe even 10 if it's really tight. And as I'm doing that, I'm getting a couple free pops. You might get some self-adjustments, but I'm also trying to determine where it feels the tightest. So for me, I'm feeling most tight right around here. So next thing after rolling the muscles, we're going to start to loosen up the joints. So I'm going to interlock my fingers, hands behind neck, and I'm going to slowly start to extend until I feel a lot of tension right about there. I'm going to give it a smooch, come right back. We're going to rep this out for a good 5, maybe even 10 if it's really tight. Just touching that tension, I'm going a little bit further, and then just keep repping this out, and it should loosen up with each rep, or it'll definitely loosen up by the time you do 10 full reps. And then if you had multiple tight spots, you just move up to the next one. Again, just extend over till you feel that tension, touch it, come right back. You might get some easy self-adjustments doing this, and usually it feels pretty dang good. All right, so that's strategy number 1, using the foam roller. The second strategy is more of a stretch to loosen up that rotation range, which I like to use a foam roller, but it's not totally necessary. So I'll show you the stretch before using the foam roller. And we just call this stretch a thread the needle. So I'm going to show you getting down into what we call a quadruped position or a tabletop. And that's essentially just getting on our hands and knees. And we're going to thread the needle or thread through our arm and our leg here. So from the front, what you're going to do is try to maintain a good neutral spine position as you start to reach your arm through. If you have a lot of tension there, again, just smooch it, come right back. So you can rep this out on one side if you wanted to, or for me, I like going from side to side to switch it up and make it a little bit more dynamic. So find that tension, boom there, and then switch across. And just doing this without the foam roller, you're still going to work on that thoracic rotation. But if you have the foam roller already, we can upgrade it a little bit. So what we do is get into that quadruped position, foam roller between hands and knee here. And what you're going to do is guide your arm across the foam roller here. And then when I'm getting to that end range, I breathe in, breathe out, and I can sink a little bit further. Like I mentioned before, you can just sit here and rep that out, or you can make it a little bit more dynamic and challenging by going to the other side. And then you can kind of get a nice little game or a routine where you start to really wring out your spine from side to side. I almost think of it as a wet towel, and you're trying to get all the moisture out of it. So I do this a good 10 times on each side. You might even get some residual pops here. But this is a simple routine that only requires one piece of equipment that could help loosen up that mid-back. So if you tested your range of motion beforehand, well, after doing the routine, you definitely want to test it afterwards to see how well it worked. So for me, I was already looser going to my right. Ooh, definitely feeling looser, tight about right there. And I was tighter overall on my left side. Going further, I still feel like I'm tighter than my right side, but I only did this routine one time. So if I was going to the gym or doing like an upper body day, I would cycle through this at least 2 or 3 times to make sure I have that maximum range before I go train. If you're starting with, almost no rotation, well, this is a drill you're going to want to implement every single day, specifically in the morning so you can help prime your movements for the rest of the day. And if you want some extra credit, if it's super tight, I even recommend doing another set in the evening. But if you have a lot of that mid-back tension, If you practice this for a good week or two, you're gonna notice some significant changes as long as you're staying consistent with the strategy. If you have mid-back stiffness, give this one a try. Like if you like this content. Also subscribe so then you know when the latest stretch strategies come out so you can take advantage of them.